Welcome to the Sarah Living Life YouTube channel. My name is Sarah, and this whole channel is all about helping to create what life with a disability looks like and just sort of offering a different narrative for what living with a disability can be. And today I'm excited to talk about social scripts. Boop, 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 boop. So what are those?
A social script is sort of a set of expected words that would be exchanged in a given situation. So examples of this include going to the grocery store. When you're checking out in the checkout line, the cashier perhaps would say hello. You're sort of expected to respond with, "Hi, how are you?" They then proceed to scan all of the items, bag them up, or you exchange money, you say goodbye, and then you're on your way to your car. That is sort of a set of expectations in what that interaction is supposed to look like that we've established in sort of a social standard. And those expectations are going to be different than expectations you would have on an interview, or a set of social exchanges that you would have at a family dinner gathering, or a set of expectations you would have when you're hanging out with your friends. There's different ways that we behave in each of those different contexts.
And because there's no set of expectations in how to interact with people who have a variety of different disabilities, it just becomes sort of a free-for-all of lots of different types of questions and responses that can be really anxiety-provoking and inducing for the person with the disability, and could be really uncomfortable for the person that does not have the disability who is interacting with the person with the disability. You know, what kind of started for me around 8, where I really became aware of all of the different messages that people were saying to me, to the point where I became really confused, because before 8, this really wasn't a problem at all. And then all of a sudden, everyone's asking me a million questions, and it felt like it came out of nowhere. And then it felt sort of like a free-for-all with the level of questions that people were asking me. Some of them are quite terribly inappropriate.
Why is your hand deformed? Why does it look like this? What happened to your hand? How do you go to the bathroom? How do you drive? How do you put up your hair? Does anybody want to date you? Like, this isn't anything that anyone would want.
And then that really raised rates of anxiety, because I didn't know how people were going to respond to me. Sometimes people are really okay with it. Other times people are not. And you don't know what is going to sort of startle somebody. And having this sort of like constant anxiety, if this is going to be an okay or a not okay situation, that just puts a lot of social anxiety on people with disabilities, to the point where I want to suppress my disability and I want to hide my disability by putting my hand, crossing my arms, or putting my hands in my pockets, or really just trying to hide my hand so that it just wouldn't have to bring up anything, so that I didn't have to navigate these different types of conversations. There are so many people who have shared with me, they're like, Sarah, I didn't even know. I didn't even see it. And I just sort of giggle to myself, because I made sure that people didn't see it. I made sure that people didn't know, because I didn't want to have that negative interaction, because it may or may not happen, and that's really not okay. And so at a very young age, learned to hide these pieces of myself, so very intentionally, so that it wasn't something that anybody really had an opportunity to see on their own. So what are we gonna do about it? Great question. I'm glad you asked. We can begin by expecting that people with disabilities exist and are gonna be in our environments, and that we're going to see them when we're out shopping in grocery stores, when we're going to sporting events, when we're going out dancing. All of the things that we're doing in our lives, expect that people with disabilities are going to be there. And when you do see them, you can say hi. That's it. Just say hi. Just as you would anybody else. Because guess what? People with disabilities are people too. Wow. And truth be told, this disability doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happened to my hand. I can't change that. And moving forward, if asking about it, what does that do? What does that conversation do? I don't think knowing what happens to my hand
or what happened to my hand really changes the person who I'm interacting with, other than them maybe thinking, oh, if I don't do X, Y, and Z, then this wouldn't happen to me. But that's really all of the work that I'm trying to do, is just deconstruct all of that. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where my disability came from. It doesn't. So asking about it doesn't really serve anybody anything anyway. So when you see somebody with a disability, here are some things you can say. Hi. How are you? Do you like this movie? Are you a fan of pizza, or do you like tacos? I hope you saw or heard that those are just basic questions. There isn't anything fancy or different or special. Really, that's it. Just say hi. And if a person wants to share their story, they will. And it'll come out in different ways. And really, that's the social script that we can build for interacting with people with differences and disabilities. And that interacting with people who have disabilities is simply interacting with another fellow human. That's it.